So I have found that when I post cats to get adopted, I don't really get much traction from my Instagram accounts because most of the people who follow my Instagram are either rescuers, fosters with way too many cats, or people who already have cats themselves. And so what tends to work well for me is to post them on Adopt a Pet and Pet Finder. I post them to both. Now, luckily, I have a 501(c)(3 with Hopewell Rescue, so I post them through Hopewell Rescue. Uh, some rescues will do courtesy posts for you, but I believe, so when I first started this many years ago, I think Adopt a Pet let you post as an individual. Pet Finder did not. You had to be a 501(c)(3). But as of a couple of years ago, I think Pet Finder changed their policy and they also let non-501(c)(3)s post. So just check their websites and how to register in order to be able to post a cat. Don't assume you cannot post there just because you don't have a 501(c)(3). I do think they have changed it. What they will do though is they'll ask you to provide information such as provide your adoption contract as well as get a referral letter from a vet, which you would have to do anyway as a 501(c)(3). So if there's a vet that you work with on a regular basis with the rescue cats who can say that you actually take good care of these little guys, you're going to want to get that. Going to ask you to fill out the age range, any, is the cat good with dogs, kids, other cats, other animals, all that good stuff. So you'll fill all that out. But what really will make a difference is going to be the title and the first picture that you choose, right? Just think of it as you're selling on Amazon and you're trying to get people interested when they have all the search results showing up and they click on one, you want to get their interest right away. And so the way I do that is I try not to just put the name of the cat. So that's what a lot of people do. They only put the name of the cat as the title of the posting. I'll put literally the name of the cat and a short description. So then if it's like a lap cat, I'll make sure to throw the word lap cat in there in the description somehow, or playful, if that's what makes the cat super unique, is uh, super playful or whatever it be. We'll talk more about that in terms of personality in a moment, but I try to put that in the name of the listing. And I'll show you some examples. The other thing you want to do is the first picture you choose, try to do a close-up of the face. So one of the photos, you only get, I believe, 4 or 5 photos plus a video link when you post to these listing sites. And so I'm very specific when I talk to my fosters, like the types of photos I want. And for those of you who work with people who foster cats for you, what I tell them is take pictures of the cats whenever there's like that amazing moment, that adorable moment, and create a folder. So I use an iPhone and I create a folder for every cat that I'm fostering so that when I take the photo, I just save it to that folder on my iCloud, iPhone iCloud. And when it's time to create the video, I just need to take a few more, but I have this rich set to pull from because those moments oftentimes are very hard to recreate on the fly. But when it happens, you want to just snap that quick picture. And so for the first picture, because you can choose what's the primary picture, you're going to want a close up of the face. And when you take pictures of the cats, and I'll show you an example in a second as well, try to be at the level of the cat. So just like with kids' pictures, you don't want to be taking a picture from up high where you're seeing the top of the head. You really want to be at eye level with the kitty. And that's usually going to be the most adorable picture. The other thing is that just remember your post will show up near the top of the results. Just again, just like selling on Amazon, it'll show up at the top of the results when you first post it. So I try to time my posting to happen like I prep it all, but I don't hit post until like a Friday night or a Saturday. When do I feel like people are most likely to be scrolling through their phone? If most of the people who our adopting tend to work from 9 to 5. I don't post between 9 to 5, right? I'll wait till afterwards, or during commute time. Usually is a good time when I notice a lot of people are scrolling their phones. And a lot of times, so I think back where in to when I was adopting. So before I started rescuing, I was looking to adopt, and I was one of those people pouring and pouring through all these different listings because I was absolutely obsessed to just find the right kitty. And I noticed that if the cat had a video, I was more likely to inquire about it. So that's one of the things that I see a lot of posts miss, right? They don't have videos because it's easier probably, but it does hurt the listing in terms of getting people to respond. I created a guide in Instagram. So if you go down here to the little book, it will, and you click on there. I only have one guide right now, and here are examples of adoption listings. So it's not the listing itself that's an example; it's pictures I wanted to talk about today and some videos I wanted to talk about. So it's faster for us to find it, but you can also refer back to it after this video chat. So I'm going to show you. So here's an example of a photo at eye level. So this was one of my really, really old photos before I changed my handle, because I used to be a food blog before it got overrun by cats. And so see how if you're like right at the same level as the cat, and if the cat lets you get up close, that's really nice. The other thing is we talked a little bit about the moments, right? So here's these are actually pictures that adopters have sent to me, and they're not posed or anything. The lighting may not be the best necessarily, but it shows a very unique side to the cat, and or unique moment. Like here, it's like she's hugging her hands. And we'll talk about like funny poses and stuff like that. So you don't want the pictures to look like every other cat that's out there. There's a couple of poses that we want to make sure we get, right? So your primary picture is going to be the close-up of the cat, like this one here. And then the next thing you're going to want is a full body picture, because they usually want to see what the cat looks like. So the full body picture could be the cat laying down or the cat standing up. But I take the picture from the side of the cat. It doesn't have to be perfectly from the side, but where you could see all the markings. And then I also take another picture of the cat with a human somehow. So I'm going to talk about the cats who graduate the Socialization Saves Lives program. So by the time we're done, they're usually a beside you cat, if not a lap cat. And so I'll always include one picture with the cat in my lap, if the cat's a lap cat, or the cat sitting right next to me or on the sofa next to me, something like that, if the cat is a beside you cat. If the cat lets you carry him or her, I will also include a picture of me carrying the cat. Now, what's really important too is I know it's a little bit hard to set it up sometimes, but you want to get the picture so you don't show the human's face. So if you take a picture and the human's face is in it, sometimes I'll crop it so that you don't really see distinguishing marks of the person's face, because you want, and this is with advertising actually, you want the reader to see the picture and imagine themselves in that situation with that cat. And if you put another person's face in it, it's harder for them to imagine that. So that's another kind of picture that I like to do. If the cat is good with other cats, so the cat can go to a home who has other cats, or especially if the cat loves other cats, I try to include a picture of the cat with another cat, so that they can also imagine, I can imagine this cat cuddling with the cat that I already have now, right? So the key is, and repeat this over and over again, you want the adopter to imagine themselves, their home, already in that situation with that cat, or the cat in their home. Okay. And then sometimes I will include a picture of the cat sitting up. So frontal view, paws in front, if I need another picture, right? But what's more important than that one, that's kind of just an extra, but what's more important is that you find a picture that is different and unique about the cat. And we're going to talk a little bit later about how to get good lighting for photos, but it's if you are choosing between like vanilla photo of the cat that's perfectly lit, yes, you want to include a couple of perfectly lit photos if possible to show off how gorgeous the cat is. But then if like for one or two of the additional photos, you're choosing between yet another well lit photo, but it looks just like any other photo of a cat, or one that's dark and it's kind of nighttime, but the cat's snuggling right by my head while I'm sleeping, I'm going to choose the one that's not lit as well because I prefer the one where it shows the cat's personality. And we'll also talk a little bit about just using the iPhone photo editing to even just clean up the brightness a little bit, which helps a tad, even though it's not perfect, but it does make a big difference. So I'm going to just show you a couple of more cute poses. Then I think what I'll do just to break it up, I might jump to show you a couple of the videos because I want to talk about cat personality. And then we'll flip back to the copywriting because we want to really showcase the personality of the cat in the copywriting. Okay, so we've got funny poses, if they sleep in a funny way. So I always like to always try to get a picture of the cat with his her tongue out. And the trick to do this is I give them churu and I'm snapping my camera. Like I pull the churu away quickly while I'm snapping my camera. I sometimes if I can pull it off, I use a DSLR, but you can also just use your iPhone. But you can I get like maybe 15 crappy ones, but then you might get that one good one where the tongue's just right and they look really funny, right? And so sometimes if this is my funniest photo, I will actually even use something like this as the cover photo because that cat will stick out from the rest of the other pictures if they see a grid of cats. Okay. And here's, funny because he's standing up and I just use a toy in order to get him to stand up. Here's an action pose. And then here's the cuddles I was saying, right? So this was actually sent to me by an adopter, maybe not the best lighting. I brightened it up a little bit. But I mean, who can pass that up, right? When they see that. And this one, I actually use the iPhone editing software to brighten up the colors a bit. She's inside a shark cave, a cat cave, and I brightened up the colors a bit, added a vignette to make it dark around the edges so that her face really pops out. Okay. And then, again, the close up to the face at face level really makes a big difference, including for photos and videos. And I will, here's another example of one to edit, where I use the iPhone software to edit. Okay, I'm just going to run through a few more photos before we switch to the videos. And I think what's also important is to think about accessories. Now, I'm not a fan of dressing up cats. I do not ever dress up my cats, but I'm also not opposed to using a little accessory to make a cat look a little more adorable for a adoption listing. So it depends. Some cats will have nothing to do with it. Some cats will let you. So it depends. So Jerry, I don't know if any of you remember Jerry. He absolutely hated this neckerchief. I snapped it when he wore it for like all of 1/4 of a second before he wriggled out of it. So you kind of put on and try to take the picture quickly. Okay, this is Yuli. He actually didn't mind. He was one of our first fosters. He let me put ties, bow ties, scarves, anything on him. Didn't mind at all. Kevin didn't mind, so you can even use a dog jacket, right? So sometimes if you see my props, they're all the same props from listing to listing because I really only have like 5 of them. But that jacket was really cute. And then for girls, it's hard because you can't really use the bow ties. So I asked a friend of mine to create a little circle with some fake flowers on it for a fairy wreath. So she was not having any of this. I literally would like put it on her head to take the picture really quickly, and then she'd shake it off. So I had all of half a second each time to take the photos. But if you take enough bad photos, eventually one of them will look good. So that was spring. And that's what I use. These are ones I use for her adoption listing. And then, Alay, I think we got this for free from or buying some Kona ice or something at some food truck. So if you see some things like just say, oh, this is pretty cute, just save it. And for the cats who don't like to wear an accessory, you can always put a little toy next to them. You're right. Just imagine just the cat without the toy. It's just yet another cat picture. But if you say, show a cat with a little toy, that's pretty adorable. So that's Storm. And then the black cats for sure. If there's any way you could put a splash of color, whether it's an accessory or something next to them, like Christmas is coming, wrap a cute present with a big bow on it, and put that next to the cat, or next to the Christmas tree or whatever it be. Just put something with a splash of color. For black cats is really nice. Red tends to look really, really nice with the black cats, but any other color would also help, because otherwise every black cat looks like every other black cat. So if you can get one with an accessory, try to make that your cover primary photo for the cat for the listing. Let me just touch upon again about angle, right? So the angle for the photos you want to take are going to be at eye level of the cat. So literally I sit on the floor, lie down on the floor, whatever it needs. Or if I sit down on the floor, I'll hold the camera or my phone low. And I never look through it. If I'm using a DSLR, I always just use the display screen so that I can hold it at a low angle. What you really want for that close-up face, and actually almost every photo if possible, is you want that cat's eyes looking right into the lens, just as in this example here, because then it really, you feel connected versus if the cat's looking to the side this way, right? And how do you do that? I don't actually have something, but you take a toy. So pretend I'm holding this phone at cat eye level right now. You take a toy and you start it a little above the phone, shake it. So usually a crinkly ball is perfect. I take a crinkly ball, I crinkle, the cat looks at it, and then I go, zoom. I quickly bring it behind the camera, so where the lens is, and the cat looks down, and then I take the picture. So all you need is that split second, and to get it, I do it like 5 million times, and then I'll usually get at least one good photo of the cat looking right into the lens. So that's important. The other thing is going to be lighting. So lighting is really important, and you don't want to use flash if you can help it. Okay, so flash is very harsh. You want like soft natural light whenever possible. So I'll talk about different options. If you can do whatever photos you can in front of a window, that's where you do it. So I literally know, depending on where in my home I have to take the photos of this cat. I know what time of day I can do it, right? Like, and sometimes I'm like, damn it, it's a cloudy day, I can't do it today, or whatever it be. But usually it's like between 11 and 12, and that's my perfect hour. But just it depends on which direction your windows face as the sun rises and sets, and that's how you're going to decide how to do it. And then you always do it so that the window is facing the cat, right? Not facing you. So the window's in front of me. I wouldn't take a picture of the cat between me and the window, because now the cat's going to be in shadow because all the light's behind. I would actually sit underneath the window and have the cat so that the light coming from the window hits the cat. The other thing is or if you have a sliding door, you could, do it in front of a sliding door. I will try to clean up the area a little bit, because you make a small frame. You don't need to show the whole room. You just need to make a small frame. So I try to not put too much in the frame as possible. Like in our bedroom, we often have a playpen because inevitably I'm playing cat Tetris all the time. So there's a playpen right in front of our sliding door, because I like to have the cat be able to look out the sliding door. And I'll drag the playpen to the side and then work with if it's one of the cats in my bedroom, then because I split them up based on personality, I will have that space open. It literally is just like a 5 foot long space that I'm working with. So you'd be surprised. If anyone ever did food photography, you'd be amazed at what is actually happening in real life versus what you see in the frame. So that's that. The other thing is, right, not too many cats in the pictures. So if you can get the cat, first of all, your highest priority is the room with the best lighting, right? And then if you need to move this cat there and move the other cats out temporarily by luring them with treats, whatever, then closing them in the bathroom, just it really won't take that long, 15, 30 minutes. And you might do a couple of picture sessions. They'll be okay. Then another thing to think about is in photography, there's like golden hour. So that's when the sun's setting. So just before the sun sets, there's this beautiful golden glow to the natural light. That's also a very nice time to take the picture. Some windows will have too harsh of a light midday, and it doesn't look very good. So you would pick a golden hour to make it a more diffuse lighting. If for some reason you're like, I don't really have a lot to work with, you could take if you have to work with light that's very harsh from a window, you can even go by the shower curtains that are frosted, right? And you could put that across. You need a really strong sunlight, though. You could put that across the window and have it frosted, and then use painter's tape to tape it up, and that will create an immediate, like, humongous softbox, which is really nice. Okay, so how about when you don't have any natural light because the room the cat's in doesn't have any light? Then what I tell people is, instead of using the flash, bring a lamp in, a lamp with a lampshade, right? Or literally, I have this LED light from IKEA. Get like 3 of those and bounce them off the wall. So what that means is you take the light and you point it against the wall, and then the wall reflects it back, so it becomes this nice diffuse humongous lighting. So this is a photo that was sent to me by a foster, and it's not the best lighting. As you can see, the cat's backlit, it's kind of dark in front. And so what you can do is, I'm literally looking at it in my iPhone photos, and I hit edit. There's a little text at the upper right corner that says edit. And when you click on edit, you start having editing tools. And the tools I really use, I might crop if I absolutely need to, but usually what I'll work on is, as you move this left and right, it'll tell you what that control is. Usually what I play with are the shadows, highlights, and exposure, and sometimes, not exposure, sorry, brightness. Where's brightness? This one. I start with brightness first, and all you do is take your finger and move left and right, and you can brighten a photo. You can see it a little bit there. It doesn't, there you go, it's a little blade. So you can brighten it. So see, this is the original photo, and this is the new one. And so I brightened it. I'm going to go and remove some of the shadows. I forget if it's left or right, so I just try it until I see if it does what I want it to do. Open up the shadows. And then if I open up the shadow, if I reduce the shadows, it sometimes make the brightness look too bright. So then I'll go back and lower the brightness a bit. It doesn't look quite the same. And let me go to contrast. I'm gonna just not make it feel so harsh. So just lighten up the contrast just a tad. And then what you can also do is just add a tiny bit of vignette, just to give it a little bit more mood. Not too much so you don't want a ton that you see the black edges. You want it just to be a hint, just like that. And so this is the original, and that's the new. So it's not perfect, but it makes a big difference. And so that's what I'll do also if I don't have perfect photos from a foster. If I can control the photos because the cat's with me, then I just keep taking photos until it's the way I want it to be.